There are harsh truths about how the world works, truths that go against almost everything we have ever been taught. That life is fair, that people are inherently good, that if you just work hard enough, everything will be fine. It sounds right, but reality shows the opposite. Life does not operate according to the promises we were given. It is not fair, and people do not always treat each other with goodwill. What causes many to become exhausted is not laziness or a lack of effort, but the fact that they are pouring energy into things that were never within their control. They try to control outcomes, the reactions of others, and how life treats them, only to lose their inner clarity. Stoicism does not teach you to win every game. It teaches you to master your own mind, so that circumstances no longer have the power to dictate how you think, react, and choose. When you maintain that mastery, you are no longer swept up in the race of winning and losing. What matters is not who goes faster, but that you still stand firm in your choices, even when circumstances do not stand with you. The 8 lessons in this video were not created to comfort or reassure you. They are designed to sharpen your awareness, strip away familiar illusions, and force you to see people, situations, and yourself more clearly under pressure. Not so you become cold, but so you become alert. Alert enough to recognize what is truly happening before it has a chance to control you. If you were looking for calmness, clarity, and self-mastery in a world full of chaos, hit like to support this journey and subscribe to Stoic Journey to continue following these lessons that are hard to hear but necessary. And if you are ready to face 8 Stoic lessons that are not easy to hear but can make you more alert, harder to manipulate, and firmer under pressure, then we begin right now. Lesson 1. Everyone acts in self-interest. The first truth is not easy to accept, but it must be faced directly. People rarely act because of right or wrong. They act because of what brings them benefit in that moment. When the benefit remains, they stay. When the benefit is gone, they leave. It is not because they are bad. It is simply how humans operate. Once you understand this, you begin to feel lighter. Look at an everyday situation. There's a colleague who once treated you with great enthusiasm. They stood by you in important meetings and were ready to support you when you needed a voice, because at that time, you had influence and your presence benefited them. Then, you move to a different position. You are no longer directly related to their interests. Their attitude changes accordingly. Fewer words, more distance, colder. Because the benefit has left, and the truth reveals itself in silence. When a relationship leaves you disappointed, do not be quick to ask where you went wrong. Look directly at this simple truth. People act according to their interests, not according to your emotions. When the benefit remains, the concern remains. When the interest shifts, the attitude shifts as well. It is not because you have become less, but because the motive has changed. By understanding this, you stop personalizing everything. You no longer blame yourself, no longer try to prove your worth, and no longer cling to relationships that only exist while you are still providing a benefit. You adjust your expectations to align with reality, and in the moment, you regain control. This is where a dangerous intelligence begins to form. Not because you have learned how to manipulate others, but because you see their motives clearly before your emotions have a chance to pull you away. When you understand that human behavior usually follows what they perceive as beneficial to them at that time, you are no longer easily hurt by their changes. And what causes people to act on that self-interest is often not reason, but emotion. Lesson 2. Emotion decides first. Logic only follows. There is a truth few want to admit. Most decisions in your life are made before you even have a chance to think. Emotion presses the button first. Logic appears later, to explain, to justify, to make you believe that you have thought things through very carefully. Many decisions in life do not start with thought. They start from a feeling that is accumulated long enough. A person decides to quit their job. When asked, they provide reasons that sound very rational: an unsuitable environment, unclear direction, and the need for a new challenge. But if you look deeper, that decision is rarely born from reason. It was triggered beforehand by the feeling of not being recognized, being overlooked, or no longer feeling valued in that place. Emotion made the decision. Logic only arrived later to formalize it. This is not rare. It happens every day. In an argument, you rarely change your mind because of someone else's reasoning. You already disagreed beforehand, and only then went looking for reasons to refute them. In work, a proposal is opposed not because it is ineffective, but because it threatens someone's position, security, or ego. The stance is decided by emotion, not by reason. The danger lies in the fact that when you believe you are acting with reason, you do not realize emotion is behind the wheel. You react quickly, say things that are hard to take back, and make decisions just to satisfy a temporary emotion. Then, use logic to reassure yourself that you did the right thing. Stoicism does not teach you to suppress emotion. It teaches you to recognize the moment an emotion has just emerged. If you simply slow down for a beat, not answering immediately, not deciding immediately, the chain reaction is broken. When emotion is no longer in power, reason truly begins to work. If Lesson 1 helps you understand that people act out of self-interest, then Lesson 2 points to something deeper. Emotion is the switch that triggers that interest. Whoever masters their emotions will not be dragged into hasty decisions, and whoever can read the emotions of others will understand why they act before the reasons are ever spoken. That is a dangerous intelligence because you see where a decision is formed, even when it is disguised by logic. Lesson 3. Self-deception is the most dangerous weakness. As long as you continue to blame circumstances, people, timing, or fate for that long, you do not have the right to change your life. Not because you lack ability, but because you have withdrawn from your own responsibility. Most people are not stuck because of failure. They are stuck because they always have a rational explanation for why everything is not their fault. Life becomes more comfortable when you believe the problem lies outside, but it is that very comfort that keeps you standing still. You will see this repeated in a very familiar way. One person always says they meet the wrong people. Another claims they are just unlucky. Another believes the timing isn't right. It sounds plausible, but if you look long enough, you will see the same types of choices being made, the same reactions being repeated, and the same results returning, only changing shape. It is not because of fate. It is because there is something you have not yet admitted about your role in that cycle. Self-deception does not require lying. It only requires you to avoid asking the hard questions. Instead of asking, "Where did I go wrong?" you ask, "Why did this happen to me?" The second question sounds lighter, but it strips away the ability to fix things, because you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge as a part of yourself. The Stoics viewed this as the most dangerous form of loss of freedom. When you refuse to look directly at your share of responsibility, you aren't just avoiding pain, you are surrendering the right to adjust your course. Marcus Aurelius did not seek comfort when reflecting on himself. He sought honesty, because only the truth provides the foundation to stand firm and correct the path. This is a point that is not easy to hear, but needs to be stated clearly. The truth does not make you weaker. Avoiding it does. When you stop retelling the familiar story to protect your feelings and start acknowledging your part in the current outcome, you are not blaming yourself. You are reclaiming the power to change. And that is the moment you begin to break free, not through hope, but through clarity.
Lesson 4. The urge to control everything is a sign of mental weakness. There is a truth few want to admit. The more you want to control things, the more you show how insecure you truly are. A strong mind does not need to grasp at everything. A weak mind does. It needs certainty. It needs predictability, and it needs everything to happen exactly as desired, just to feel safe. You see this very clearly in life. A person is anxious about what others think of them. Another is restless because the results haven't arrived yet. Someone else is stressed because things are not going according to plan. They are not tired from doing too much, but from trying to control things that never belonged to them in the first place. Epictetus simply reminded us that some things are within our power while others are not. He didn't say that to soothe your worries, but to help you distinguish more clearly. Because when you begin trying to hold on to things that don't belong to you, internal exhaustion doesn't hit immediately, but it starts accumulating from that point. Your thoughts, your choices, your reactions, those are yours. But the results, the recognition, the attitudes of others, or whether things happen exactly as you want, none of that has ever belonged to you. When you try to control those things, you don't become stronger. You are only exposing your own insecurity. That is why many people, the harder they try, the more exhausted they become. It is not because they lack ability, but because they are consuming energy on things that cannot be held. They strain themselves to manipulate the reactions of others, cling to outcomes, and resist reality, then wonder why their minds grow increasingly heavy. Dangerous intelligence does not direct you toward more control, but helps you realize what is worth your energy. When you stop trying to control things that don't belong to you, the mind naturally lightens. And at that very moment, you no longer operate out of insecurity, but out of steadiness. If this lesson has made you realize that you've been trying to control something for too long, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what truly belongs to me and what needs to be let go? If this journey is providing you with a clearer perspective, hit like to support the channel and subscribe to Stoic Journey if you want to continue training a steadfast mind, where strength comes from alertness, not control. Lesson 5. Repeated behavior reveals true character. A person's true character is rarely revealed in a single moment. It emerges over time, through familiar choices, when they are not under pressure, not being watched, and have no need to appear better than they are. The problem is not that the truth is too hard to see, it is that we often lack the courage to look directly at it. Because when we see it clearly, we are forced to adjust our expectations, rebuild our boundaries, or admit that we have placed our trust in the wrong place. Observe the very small things. The way a person speaks about others behind their backs, the way they keep a promise when there is no benefit involved, the way they behave toward those who can provide them with no value. When these behaviors repeat long enough, they are no longer accidental or temporary. That is the truth revealing itself in its unacted state. I was once close to someone who always expressed gratitude toward me. He often mentioned how much I had helped him, from money to personal family matters. At first, I believed it was sincere. But over time, I began to notice something. My help gradually became something he felt entitled to. Until one day, when I refused to help one more time, he immediately turned on me, calling me selfish. In that moment, I understood that his character hadn't changed. It simply revealed itself more clearly when his interests were no longer met. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to observe people through consistency, not letting explanations or fleeting emotions cloud his perception. He didn't ask what others said, he watched what they did and how many times they repeated it.
Therefore, the wisdom here is not about becoming cynical. It is about stopping yourself from rewriting the story in your head to protect your feelings. When you believe in what people do rather than what they say, you don't become colder. You simply become wiser, making choices that do not betray yourself. Lesson 6. Comfort dulls intelligence. There is a form of decline more dangerous than failure: comfort. When everything is fine, people begin to believe they have reached their destination. And at that exact moment, intelligence begins to dull, not because you lost, but because you stopped being alert. This happens very often in personal life. Someone once had good health, a fit body, and abundant energy. They trained regularly, controlled their diet, and maintained discipline because their body responded so positively. Then, at some point, they started to think, "I'm okay now." And from there, comfort creeps in. It is just a few more relaxed meals, a few missed workouts because it doesn't matter, a few late nights because I'm still young. And it is that very silence that makes them believe they are in control of everything. But the reality is the opposite. When discipline retreats, weakness begins to accumulate. A while later, the body reacts more slowly. Weight gradually increases, flexibility disappears. But the most dangerous thing is not the change in physique. It is the mindset that has become accustomed to being easy on itself. By then, even when warning signs appear, they do not react in time. Intelligence has already been dulled. The Stoics do not fear failure. They fear complacency. Because failure at least causes you to wake up. Comfort does not. It makes you accept the present as a final standard rather than a temporary state that must be maintained through discipline. Dangerous intelligence lies here. You do not evaluate yourself by the feeling of being fine, but by your direction. If today's choices are making you more indulgent, slower, and less disciplined, then even if you haven't failed yet, you have already started to fall behind. Comfort cannot defeat you in a single day. It causes you to lose your edge long before you realize you are no longer sharp. Lesson 7. Accept reality. Save your energy. There is something many people only realize when they are already exhausted. What wears them out is not necessarily what happens, but the fact that they never stop thinking things should have been different. It is not the past event that drains your strength, but the way you silently return to it in your head every day, arguing, comparing, and hoping it would turn back in your favor. A vast amount of energy is consumed in this silent way, not through action, but through repetitive internal dialogues. If only that person understood me better. If only that relationship hadn't changed course. If only that door were still open. We call this trying, or not giving up. But in reality, it is how we keep ourselves trapped in what no longer exists. Stoicism does not teach you resignation or submissiveness. It only reminds you to clearly distinguish what is still in your hands and what is already beyond your reach. When you stop waiting for others to become the version you expect, you do not become weaker. You become lighter. When you accept that a stage has ended, you are not giving up. You are stopping yourself from being hurt by expectations that no longer have a place. Acceptance is not agreement, nor is it satisfaction. Acceptance is looking directly at reality as it is, and then adjusting your course accordingly. Instead of repeating the question, "Why did this happen?" you shift to the only useful question remaining. From here, how will I move forward? That question keeps you alert. The other only keeps you behind. Stoics choose acceptance not because they are pessimistic, but because they understand that life energy is finite. They do not use it to fight against the unchangeable, but to invest in worthy things, their thoughts, their reactions, and their next steps. When you stop arguing with reality, you do not lose. you simply stop exhausting yourself.
Lesson 8. Life is finite. Choose what truly matters. Life is finite. Every day that passes is a portion of time that will never return. Yet most of us live as if that fact never existed, as if we have plenty of days left to correct mistakes, to wait for others to understand, or to continue enduring things that wear us down. And just like that, life is gradually drained by things that leave no value behind when we look back. I felt this very clearly through a close friend. Before being diagnosed with a terminal illness, she spent a vast amount of energy on things that weren't worth it. Other people's drama, rumors about right and wrong, and who was saying what behind her back. She always wanted to clarify, wanted to be understood correctly, but most of it was just battles that left nothing but exhaustion. Then, the illness forced her to face time directly, and everything changed almost instantly. She stopped seeking approval. She proactively cut off superficial relationships. She kept only what brought vitality, love, presence, and meaning. For her, each passing day was no longer a day of endurance, but a day to be lived fully. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, "Remember that you will die, not to be pessimistic, but to stop wasting your life." What is terrifying is not death, but living an entire life without ever truly living. And the only thing that cannot be reclaimed is the time given to trivial things. Therefore, ask yourself candidly, if you only had 1 year to live, would this still be worth worrying about? Would you still engage in meaningless arguments? Would you still chase recognition from people who don't truly matter? Or would you start choosing differently? Life does not give you much time to hesitate, but it always gives you the right to decide how to use the rest. When you are conscious that your time is finite, you don't live faster, you live more selectively. You keep the conversations that make you feel present, the work that leaves you with energy when it ends, and the relationships that don't require you to trade yourself away to stay. That is not coldness. That is honesty with your own life. When you stop investing emotions into things that bring no meaning, you lose nothing. You gain yourself. If there is one Stoic lesson to be kept until the end, it is this. Time does not wait for you to be ready. It simply slips away quietly. Your job is not to hold on to it, but to choose what is worthy of living alongside it. If this video made you pause and think, leave a like as a landmark for yourself. And if you want to continue training an alert, steady inner self amidst the chaos, Stoic Journey is still here to accompany you.